Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Team Builder Call. So it's a bonus week this week because it's May and we have 5 Wednesdays in May. And that means that we get a little bit of an extra topic that's not normally on our agenda. And this week, I'm really excited for the topic today. If you saw the reminder message that was on Facebook or went out, it said we're going to talk about the art of getting people to do stuff. And you'll laugh a little bit as we dig into this topic because it's really the exact opposite of getting people to do stuff. But I know that that's something that we, as builders and developing leaders in this company, that's something that's on our minds a lot. Especially as you have a team start to grow. Do you ever feel that pain of like, do you ever go to your upline and ask them, how do I get my team to do stuff? How do I get people to show up? How do I get customers to take wellness consults seriously, or get my team to come to convention, or get my people to be on the calls, or whatever it is? And the topic that we're going to discuss today is actually based around a book called Leadership and Self-Deception, Getting Out of the Box. It's the longest book title that anyone's ever written. In fact, that's almost the whole book, just the title. Who, just out of curiosity, who has read that book before? Sherry has. Sherry, when did you read it?
Oh, quite a number of years ago. Probably, maybe 2002, 2001. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, Andrew read it a long time ago too, and then just...
What's the name of the book again?
Leadership and Self-Deception, Getting Out of the Box.
I've never even heard of it. So
it's really good.
This is actually one of the books, one of the most commonly used books for training in corporate America. It's a powerful behavioral change science, school of thought, you might say. And the premise of the book is very, very simple, but there are companies like massive corporations that will start their employee training off. There's even large companies in the United States that will require applicants to read the book before they can interview with the company. And the premise of the book is so powerful that companies that were struggling, that had discord between departments or management and employee, or between managers, they would incorporate the principles in this book and all of a sudden have big transformations in terms of how the people related to each other, and their productivity would skyrocket. And so it's really cool, and we're excited to introduce this to our doTERRA world here. So since only 2 of us have read this book, let's talk a little bit about what the point of the book is. So I already started off by painting a problem, a picture. That problem is, how do I get people to do stuff? And if you were to give an emotion to that question, when you call your mentor up and you say, how do I get my team to show up? How do I get this builder to keep her commitments? How do I get this person in my upline to stop being such a blah, blah, blah? What are the emotions that are underneath that? How do I get people to do stuff?
It's called control and force.
Control and force, okay. What else? What do you guys feel inside?
Sometimes that's like a desperation kind of thing. Like, I'm not able to meet my goals because you're not coming with me. Like, we're not in alignment and this is uncomfortable.
Right, exactly. What else comes to mind?
Frustration.
The wall.
What, Cassie?
Hitting your head against a wall.
Hitting your head against a wall. And sometimes you see that the other person is the wall, which is very frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Amber basically spelled out scarcity, right? That desperation. For me, I know it's come from, I felt a sense of just exasperation. Like, how many times do I have to explain this to you? Seriously, like that, right? So can we agree that we all have this problem? Is that fair to say? Is anybody exempt from this problem that we've experienced or described here? And really, it's one of the fastest ways to zap energy, to zap the life out of our business, to deplete the joy out of what we do. And if you think about it, most of us come into this business because we have there's some kind of light that shows up, and we see the wonder of these oils, and mostly the wonder of what it feels like to be able to take charge of your health and your wellness, emotionally, spiritually, physically, all of it. And we want to bring that to other people. And then we start building a team up, and you've got all kinds of complexities in your team. You've got some people that are just autonomous, independent. They're go-getters. They do it themselves. You've got some people that are like, let's buddy up. Let's partner. You've got some people that are like, I need help. I need you to hold my hand. And then you've got some people that say, oh, I want this. And then they don't ever show up. And you're like, do you want to show up? Oh, I want this. They don't show up. Do you want this? Oh, I want this. They don't show up. And there's Cassie beating your head against the wall. And there's so much complexity. It's very easy to slip into some of the patterns that we've described here. So in order to understand what getting out of the box is, because that's the title, right? Self-deception and getting out of the box, we have to understand what the problem is first. And the problem is self-deception. So I know that Sherry's heard of this term. Has anybody else heard of this term before? Self-deception? Amber, what do you know of self-deception?
So basically, and it depends on the individual cases, but my understanding is that you choose not to see truth. So like a famous example is when there's a problem either in the home or, something, and it's very obvious. Like there's an elephant standing in the room and you pretend that the elephant's not there, even though you have to like run into it every time you want to do something. Like the issue is there and you just either willfully choose not to see it, or you just, I'm aware of it, but I'm not aware of it, if that makes sense.
That's most definitely a big part of self-deception. Yeah. Let me give you an illustration of what self-deception looks like. So in this, illustration first, explanation after. So there was a day a few weeks ago when, just so you guys know, in mine and Jeff's history, we've both been very good at practicing self-deception with each other because we're a partnership in our business, and that's not the most common thing in doTERRA until you get to higher ranks. And so we started as a partnership from the very beginning, and it's very easy to see the other person as the problem, right? So I'm not achieving what I want because Jeff isn't showing up. Jeff didn't wake up on time today, or Jeff didn't do this, Jeff didn't do that. Or Jeff would see me as a problem because I do this, I do that. I do all these things that make him uncomfortable. So there was a day a few weeks ago when I woke up and my mind just started thinking about what our goals are, where our holes are the gap between us and our goals. And then I look over at Jeff and see him not doing what I think we should be doing to get to our goals. And very quickly, I start to feel those emotions that we described earlier. And I start to think how I'm this victim. And I show up every day. I wake up early. I go to the gym early so that I can come back home and get on the computer. And I'm building all of our team training stuff. And I'm coming up with the topics for our team calls. And I'm doing this and this and this and this and this. And I pretty quickly paint this picture of me being the victim of Jeff's lack of doing the things that I think he should be doing. And all the time, poor Jeff is just sitting over here, just getting his day started. And I'm ready to like launch an attack because I'm very upset that there's this big gap between our goals and us. And you guys see how I'm this victim, right? And in my mind, there's excellent justification here. Because very legitimately, I did stay up until 1 a.m. the night before building new web pages for our team website so that you guys all have access to the resources that are most helpful for us. And legitimately, I did wake up early that day. And legitimately, I do come up with the topics for our team calls. And I do make sure that all of the new builders that we bring on are getting their launch strategy sessions and the 3-way calls are happening and all that stuff. What's the self-deception though? What's wrong with this picture that I just painted?
Well, those are all things that you're choosing to do. The self-deception is that you're trying to somehow require someone else to do it for you, or you're getting upset that he's not doing the things you're choosing to do.
I'm getting upset that he's not doing the things I choose to do. So in our business, we say the word leader a lot. And in fact, you'll notice that those of you guys that have been in doTERRA for a little bit longer, you know that most teams use the word leader, and in our team we use the word builder more because we say let's use the word leader when you've got a big following of people that you're actually leading. And there's nothing wrong. You use whatever word that sticks out to you, but we are all becoming leaders when you're a silver rank and you've got a handful or a couple handfuls of builders under you and hundreds of customers, or when you're bigger than silver, you're a leader now. You've got people following this movement with you. And the leadership becomes an issue when you start seeing people as objects instead of people. So you'll notice that in my story that I just painted, where I'm this victim and I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling resentful, I'm feeling victimized, was I seeing Jeff as a person? No. What if I saw Jeff as a person, what would my thoughts have been like?
More empathetic, probably.
And what kinds of thoughts would be more empathetic?
Concern for
Like-
his well-being.
Yeah. Like, oh, it's still early for him, and you know, he takes a little longer to get up in the morning than I do. So this is like audio of my life, because I don't like to wake up early either. But
Sure.
definitely just kind of acknowledging, like, hey, you're just starting your day, and I've been up for a little while, and that's cool. And so, you know, when you're ready, what's your plans for the day, or whatever. However that dialogue would start.
There was a time earlier in this year, like mid-January, where Jeff just kind of slipped into a few weeks of really depressed feelings, and it is very much the result of not feeling like he was good enough to show up here successfully. And from a point of self-deception, how would I have seen that?
Well, you could have validated that thought, even though it was wrong. Love
It's
you.
It's also
Wow.
really easy to see depression as selfishness or laziness.
Laziness, for sure. I did. It was very hard to not see that as laziness, or as you say that you want these goals, but you're not doing anything. Go talk to a mentor. Go right? And the emotion is what Sherry said at the beginning: control, forcefulness. It's not empathy. I don't know if you guys remember this, but do you remember a couple years ago when we went from silver to gold? Not a couple years ago, like just a year and a half ago-ish. We went from silver rank to gold rank, and I told you guys that there was one thing that made the difference. We hit silver pretty fast. We went elite, premier, silver in a 3-month period, and then we stayed at silver rank and just so you guys know, it wasn't hard and it didn't take very much time. It's because I believed it was possible. Then we stayed silver for 13 months, and I wanted to rip my eyes out. I was so aggravated. And I would look at my, understanding this now, I look back at that 13 months, and I would look at our team, and I'd look at, this builder isn't doing this. This person's not doing their classes. This person's not doing this. Why aren't they showing up? Why aren't they showing up? And the conversation was always, how do you get people to show up? And then I went to leadership. We went to leadership retreat in Anaheim, and a brand new presidential diamond. His name was, back then he was new. Paul Holmes is his name. He got up on stage and he said, see your people as people, not as a commodity for your next rank advancement. And that had just struck me like a pan hitting me on the side of the head. And I looked at my team and realized, not one conversation between me and Jeffrey was about our people as people. It was about the objects on our team that weren't performing like they should have, like they were robots or mechanical things that should have been operating better for our disposal and our needs. And I realized, do I even know what anybody's dream is? Like, I know what they want. I know what their goals are because I ask them. And on paper, actually, everyone in the company thought I was kind of a badass because I always did the right things. But my underlying energy was very much seeing people as objects, not as people. And that month was very funny. We hit gold that month without doing any extra work whatsoever. The only thing that I did is I left leadership. I drove over to one of our frontline builders' office, and I sat down with her and said, I am so sorry. And she said, what? Why are you sorry? And I said, I haven't cared for your feelings and what's important to you and what your dreams are. And she was so confused because on paper I did everything right. And then I went to our next leader and had the same conversation. And Cassie's actually one of them. Cassie said, well, I didn't think that you've been a really bad upline. That was what she said. And everyone was nice, but I think that underneath all the all the picture perfect leadership actions that I was good at by just learning the right behavior, I think underneath it, people felt, I don't think I know that people felt that there was a lack of person-to-person connection, a lack of real empathy. And that month, everybody popped their ranks and they all went premiers and we went gold without anybody really working harder. The productivity just naturally boosted itself up. So understanding that story, that was a story of getting out of the box. In this book, the box refers to when you're in the box, you're self-justifying. So that's my example of, I saw Jeff being lazy, right? And I'm thinking about how I got up early. I work hard. I come up with the team call topics, all that stuff. Or that 13 months of being in the box. In the box is when you see people as objects, not as people. And you self-justify to keep yourself in the box. Because, well, it's nice to be self-justified, isn't it? Until you stop and then you realize that was stupid. Sherry shakes her head. So understanding what that looked like for me to get out of the box, what do you think happened on our team that month?
Well, in general, the energy shifted. It all came up to a higher vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone felt better because I keep being reminded of a book I have that is really good along the same topic. It's called Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins. And it's the whole concept that, we have to come from a place of love or above, and we have to be able to love, the people. We're going to reach the people with love. And if we love the products and we love the people and we care about them, that's where people feel good and they want to, continue to share.
You want to know something ironic about that, Sherry? When you apply that to our business here, I hear people say things like, I don't want to pressure people into buying doTERRA. A statement like that would only come from someone in the box. Mm-hmm. Because when you're coming from a place of love or above, you're not tracking the sale. I mean, we're business people, so of course we're looking at our numbers and wanting our volume and our enrollments to grow and the rank advances to happen. But when your core is love or above, self-justification, then what questions are you asking? It's not, I don't want to pressure people into buying doTERRA. What are you saying from love or above?
I want to share. I want to help people. I want people's, lives to improve. I want their health to improve. I want them to have more joy. Just something, because it's a product that would be a blessing to them.
It's something that would be a blessing to them. That's the key. You're looking at what would benefit the other person. What could I do to benefit the other people? So I've got a few quotes here that I'd love to read to you from this book. Do you guys mind? Mm-hmm. So the first one is a more in-depth picture of what self-betrayal looks like. So this is self-betrayal. 1, an act contrary to what I feel I should do for another is called an act of self-betrayal. So let's say that I felt, I woke up this morning and felt that I should just reach out to Cassie and say, hey, I think you're a great mom and I'm really impressed with how you're growing in life. Then if I didn't do that, I would start this self-betrayal process where I might start thinking, but Cassie isn't doing this, she isn't doing that, and now I'm self-justifying, right? Happens all the time, especially for those of you guys that are married. Do you see that happen often? Okay, so 2, when I betray myself, I begin to see the world in a way that justifies my self-betrayal. So you really start seeing through distorted lenses. And this happens all the time for those of us that are in leadership roles in doTERRA, where you've got builders that don't do such and such, and you start to see evidence that justifies your self-betrayal. 3, when I see the world in a self-justifying way, my view of reality becomes distorted. 4, so when I betray myself, I enter the box. 5, over time, certain boxes become characteristic of me, and I carry them with me. This is where maybe you can think of a leader in your experience in doTERRA, in your employment, your family, someone that has like certain boxes that are characteristic of them. You know that they're just bossy, nasty people, or that they're manipulative, or that they just don't seem to care about people's feelings. And those are people that are carrying the boxes around. 6, by being in the box, I provoke others to be in the box. Which is funny because you thought that their issue was what caused you your pain, right? And really, your being in the box is doing nobody a favor. 7, in the box, we invite mutual mistreatment and obtain mutual justification. We collude in giving each other reason to stay in the box. Is that familiar and also a little like horrifying when you think about it in that way? You think about maybe a builder or leader on your team that you've been butting heads with, and you've got a big list of justifications for your feelings. And just you being in the box gives them reason to stay in the box as well. So if that's the box, what's the opposite of being in the box? What's getting out of the box?
Well, it's kind of like, I don't know if anyone's listened to any of the Abraham Hicks recordings, like the ones that are on YouTube and stuff, because Abraham was talking about when you're in a fight with someone, like a spouse or a friend or a sibling or something like that, and when you are in that moment where you're in the box and you kind of wake up and realize, oh, I'm not doing things that are helping me. All right, hey, let's be real and just honestly say, like, look, I don't want to fight. I think we both have mutual goals. I realized that I was being stupid and, or whatever, whatever the dialogue is, the verbiage doesn't always matter, but you basically just say, hey, look, I'm sorry, I'm coming back and let's come together again. And then you tend to disarm people from their also being in the box. Like, oh, you're out of the box and you're being vulnerable, so I can come out too. And now we don't have to attack each other.
The moment, that's the key. The only thing that you can do is influence you, right? You can't control other people. That's why Sherry said the underlying essence of being in the box is control and force. The power, if you're talking about power versus force, the power is understanding that your true power is in your own choice. And the moment that you recognize you're in the box is actually the moment that you come out of the box. Because when I recognize, oh, I'm self-justifying. I'm not seeing him as a human being that has feelings that matter. I'm now out of the box. And being out of the box is vulnerability because there's no self-justification involved. And the lack of that self-justification does invite other people to step out of the box. And if they don't, that's you're out of the box. So you realize, well, that's not your problem. So there's a quote here that I really love, highlighted in the book. It said, your success as a leader depends on being free of self-betrayal. Only then do you invite others to be free of self-betrayal. Only then are you creating leaders yourself, coworkers whom people respond to, trust, and want to work with. Now, I want you to think of your doTERRA goals, right? What do you want to show up at convention as? Some of you guys are platinum, some are diamond, some of you are silver, some of you are golds that you have as a goal for convention. By the way, energize those because you can have it. All of those goals involve handfuls or dozens of builders and hundreds or thousands of customers involved. So those are people that are trusting, that are wanting to work with. And in your vision, do you see yourself showing up at convention with a whole bunch of animosity in your heart and thinking, okay, well, at least I got them all to show up? Is that your vision? What is your vision? Look at everyone's faces. Is your vision a whole bunch of people that are really eager to be there, that have trust in each other and trust that each other has care in everyone else's well-being? Do you, that question, like, I don't want to feel like I'm pressuring people into getting doTERRA. Like, I mean, who wants a business built off of that? How about I want a business where I've got dozens of builders all over the state, all over the country, all over the world, if you want, where we've got just a whole body of customers, and our customers want to work with us. They trust us because we are an out-of-the-box society, because they all can sense, with no words involved, that we are looking for their well-being. We are looking for their prosperity, for their growth, for their improved lifestyle. And that's why they show up. That's why they want to spend their dollars in our business, because they feel that. And with that being the vision, the only place, again, that we start to create that is with us, not by coercing other people to show up a certain way as leaders, but only by us first being out of this box, being self-deception free. So this highlight that I did, it says, an in-the-box organization is filled with people who are focused on themselves and on being justified. Imagine, in contrast, an organization where everyone is focused on others and on achieving results. How does that feel? We're focused on others and on achieving results.
Feels empowering.
Do you think that people would show up a little bit differently to your teams if that were the underlying message?
Absolutely. Everyone wants to feel empowered.
Yeah. Everyone wants to feel important. That's what Dale Carnegie says in How to Win Friends and Influence People. The one thing that everybody wants is to feel important. Like you matter. That's what Oprah says over and over again. She says in her decades of being a show host, radio, TV, all of it, she says that she realizes everybody just wants to feel like they matter. And as long as I, as a leader, am self-justifying and in the box, people around me by default won't feel from me that they're important, that they matter. Because in that moment, they don't. I matter. I'm worried about me. And then when you step out of it and realize, oh, these are human beings. These are people whose feelings matter. Now the tricky part, you guys, becomes when there are actions that need to happen. Like let's say that Cassie and Rebecca and I all organize an oil camp, and we divvy out assignments. Okay, and Cassie's supposed to do the marketing, and Rebecca's supposed to do the videos, and I'm supposed to write all the posts. And we have, so we create a little business here. And let's say that I notice that no marketing's happening. What do I do in the box?
Be grumpy and think all sorts of not nice things, or maybe even get confrontational.
Let's say I call Cassie in the box. What do I say to her?
Hey, you said you were going to do this. Why aren't you doing it? Like, what's the deal?
That's exactly right. And I mean, that there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with that because it's not inaccurate. Like, legitimately, she isn't doing the marketing. So how are our customers all going to show up in oil camp? But what would I do if I were not in the box?
You would contact her and ask her if there was, something going on, if she needed help, you would seek to understand.
Yeah. And it's funny, there's a question in the book, and they say, so does that mean that in the box is hard and forceful and out of the box is soft? And the answer is no. I could actually call Cassie up and say, and have a sense of urgency, and we've really got to get the marketing just happening awesomely. And I could have that power in my voice in the box or out of the box. And you'd get dramatically different results either way. Even though in both of them I have a lot of power. I'm not being soft necessarily, but the difference is that Sherry's right. I would call her up and I might say something like, "Hey, I know that you're a busy mom, and I know that we've got a lot of urgency to make sure that the marketing happens well for our oil camp, and we're so excited for it. Can I help you in some way?" And do you know most likely what people do in that situation when that's your approach? If I had said, "Cassie, what's going on? Why aren't you doing this? How come marketing's not done?" Her response would most likely be what, Cassie?
Well, probably I'd just start crying.
She'd have some shame or some guilt.
Yeah.
Most people get defensive.
Yep. People get defensive and resentful for sure. Like, you don't even know. I have 2 kids. My husband's not at home. I'm just going nonstop. I don't get a sleep because the kids don't take naps at the same time, right? Versus if my approach is, hey, I know that you're a busy mom, and I also know that this oil camp is so important to us and the marketing is really imperative. Is there anything I could do to help out there? Most of the time people say something like, "I'm so sorry, I've dropped the ball. I'm totally on it. I'll work on it this afternoon." Most of the time they take responsibility. And I didn't even have to force it. But if I force responsibility on her and say, "Cassie, why isn't the marketing happening?" And you get that it's very tricky when you're in the box. It's very tricky because legitimately she wasn't doing the marketing, but I can't control that, can I?
Mm-mm.
No, the only thing I can control is my approach. And now so you see what happens when my approach is out of the box instead of in the box. Very magical, right? So let's apply this to a couple situations in doTERRA now, because this is not just leader to builder; it's also wellness advocate to customer. That's probably one of our most frequent interactions. In fact, one of our friends, Jess Roberts, she's on another team. She's one of our favorite diamonds that we're friends with. She's all about treating your customers as VIPs. And that's why we're so excited about OilCamp on our team, because we love this idea that she's described to us. She said that most of her customers don't get wellness consults. They put themselves on LRP without a wellness consult. And it's because she's created such a culture of her customers being the VIPs that they want to show up. Now,
She's created a great sense of loyalty.
exactly. Yeah, well, it's like what this guy said, right? When you've got, what was it? Only then, when you're out of the box, are you creating leaders yourself, coworkers whom people will respond to, trust, and want to work with. So basically, she's created a whole team where you've got a bunch of builders that all the customers want to work with and they trust. And it's a very out-of-the-box culture. So let's start with the contrast first, okay? An in-the-box customer culture looks like what?
Well, like an unsuccessful team, or maybe it's disjointed, or maybe it's, you have those leaders that aren't doing anything, or, people are making excuses or reprioritizing something else over their health.
And that happens all the time. What about the relationship between wellness advocates and customers or customer prospects when you've got an in-the-box culture? What does that look like?
I think it could feel like almost like the hunter, like, I gotta make the sale, I gotta get this person.
That's exactly.
And they feel that.
Yep.
Right. You're objectified.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're objectified. That's exactly it. And basically that's where you've got to put all kinds of rules and stuff in place too. Like, you must do a wellness consult 2 days after they get their oils, or else they're not going to go on LRP. Like, and you put that, you need that kind of force because you've objectified your population. And the only way to make sure that the numbers tick so that the business grows is to put control systems in place so that you can stay self-justified and in the box and in control. So now let's flip it and go to this example of Jessica and her very out of the box culture with their customers. What do you think their relationship with their customers is, and their customer prospects that aren't signed up yet?
Like they're her friends.
Yeah, that's really good. They're their friends. What if they're strangers? What if like Jessica meets people online? That's how she knows a lot of people every month.
And they're all potential friends.
Exactly.
Yep. What if Jessica's goal is, she has a goal and she's 500 PV short of it, and she has an enrollment at the end of the month that only wants to enroll with 100 PV. Out of the box, how does she show up?
I think she listens to their needs. She figures out what they want, what their goals are.
Exactly.
And she's honest with them about how to get there.
Right. And very legitimately, remember that out of the box is a huge catalyst for building trust, right? So in the box, they're going to feel the pressure, the force, the headhunting. They'll feel that, she's really wanting me to spend more money. Out of the box, there's trust, there's empathy, there's connection. And she's much more likely to make a true, honest recommendation that this 500 PV order is more likely to serve your needs that you've described to me, and for that person to respond favorably than if she tried to force it, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if she was very much out of the box, she might make an honest recommendation. They might still only want to order 100 PV. Maybe they have genuine financial restrictions that only allow them to place a smaller order. She's out of the box, and she stays out of the box. Then what happens?
She finds another customer.
Right. In fact, that customer is much more likely to want to bring their friends to Jessica because they trust her and they had a great experience.
And the fact that she wasn't pushy would be so huge. Like, people are they really appreciate that. And it's ironic because those are the people who tend to spend more because they decide that they really, really need, they fall in love with their product and they're like, oh my gosh, I need this in my life. Like, how do I function without this?
Right. So if we were to conclude, in fact, there's a little conclusion at the end of this book that I'll share with you. So they say there's a little review for knowing the material. Self-betrayal leads to self-deception and being in the box. When you're in the box, you can't focus on results because you're self-justifying, right? Your influence and success will depend on being out of the box. You get out of the box as you cease resisting other people. So as long as you're resisting stuff you don't like about other people, what they did, what they didn't do, right? You're now self-justifying. You can't be out of the box. So now let's talk about living the material. What does this look like in real life application? Don't try to be perfect. Do try to be better. Don't use the vocabulary like the box and so on with people who don't know it because they won't know what you're talking about. Do use the principles in your own life. Don't look for others' boxes. This is very important as leaders because you think it's your job and you get it. Don't look for others' boxes. Do look for your own because that's the only thing you can control. Don't accuse others of being in the box. Do try to stay out of the box yourself. Don't give up on yourself when you discover you've been in the box. Do keep trying. Don't deny that you've been in the box when you have been. Do apologize. And then just keep marching forward, trying to be more helpful to others in the future. Don't focus on what others are doing wrong. Do focus on what you can do right to help. Don't worry whether others are helping you. Do worry about whether you are helping others. I think the end of that's the most powerful thing to me. Don't focus on what others are doing wrong. Do focus on what you can do right to help others. Because that is the only thing that you can actually control and where your real power lies. Do you feel like we've hit on something that's very transformative for what we do here?
All good principles.
Mm-hmm. So there's not really a call to rise that we can offer here except to start living from this attitude, or live more if you already are. The only thing you can do is to ask what you can do right to help others in this organization. Your builders, your inactive builders, your customers, your inactive customers, your prospects that aren't enrolled yet. And see them as people, and see them as people who's, if you feel inspired to do something, follow that. Instead of self-betraying, follow the inspiration. And this ties seamlessly into what we've been discussing, you guys, with the law of attraction, how you're always attracting. Imagine if instead of thinking self-justifying thoughts, you're now thinking, well, what could I do right to help somebody else? Now what are you attracting? One, you're attracting people that will want to trust you and work with you. And two, you're going to be attracting other leaders and builders that match that energy. I mean, how many of those could you handle on your team? A lot, probably, right? So, all right. Any questions about this or any other thoughts that you'd like to share?
Okay, so I love the daily text thing from last week. That was the best. I'm still doing it. I love it.
Okay. Will you share with us a little bit about what it's doing for you? Actually, paraphrase what it is for those that weren't on the call, and then share us what it's doing. Share what it's doing for you.
So last week's call to rise, for those that were not available last week, was to go ahead and text your mentor instead of what you're going to do, the 10 to 10. It's text your mentor what you want. And it's kind of a no holds barred. You can say anything you want to related to your doTERRA business. And it could literally be sky's the limit to just kind of reinforce that wanting, or as Jeff put it, like that soft desire for people who, if their goals felt a little heavy, and you could literally say whatever you want. And it's great to have that moment of just acknowledging what you want, getting really clear about what you want, and then just knowing it's okay to want that and have someone else want that with you. It's really, really powerful. Like, it's just super encouraging for me to just kind of spout something off because I'm kind of random and just say, hey, this is what I want today. And it's okay to want what I want. And not only that, it's great. And I can have that wanting. Like, I can have whatever it is that I want. So I found it very empowering.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Amber. And for those of you that have been texting us what you want to, the people that we mentor, I've been enjoying it. I love seeing those messages. anyone that hasn't had an opportunity yet to look at that new launch page on our team website, healthyheroteam.com/launch. One more time, healthyheroteam.com/launch. At the last video is a video called Conscious Creation. And we really just elaborate on what Amber's describing, how that looks in your business, and how it just creates this unstoppable magnetism, drawing the things you want, the experiences, the people, the emotions, the thoughts, the satisfaction. So I invite you to go watch that and continue on doing those morning vision messages. Message your upline, your mentor, what you want each morning. And as we do this, let's implement this. Let's have this be part of our culture and who we show up as people. We are an out-of-the-box culture. We see our people as people. Their feelings matter. Their dreams matter. Their wants matter. And that, that phrase, show up to serve, that's exactly what this is. So let's show up as that and have that be who we are as a body of people, as a body of wellness advocates. Okay? All right, friends, much love to you all. For those of you that have day jobs and get to watch the recording later, if you guys have questions, leave them in the comments below the recording and we'll hop on and we'll answer them, or any inspiring stories or thoughts that come to you. We love the interaction, and we'll see everybody next week. So have a good week, everyone.
Bye. Love you guys.